DC here. Hi, guys and gals. Well, it's Thursday, and I've been walking a little bit. It's really warm. It is um, 15 degrees, as this is what's on my watch, 15 degrees Celsius. Now, that is really quite warm. Very much spring weather right now. But we are at the end of February, which doesn't mean that we're not going to get cold weather again. Actually, most probably we will. But right now, it's nice. Yeah. Oh, it's been a heck of a week, though. I think I mentioned in my Sunday vlog that we had a car problem, and the car is still actually in the garage. Called up this morning, and it's the part which they need to have repaired. This is part of the electronics, is sent off to a place that specializes in that. The garage is not even able to do it. It's something that's too specialized anyway. And the guy said, yeah, he said, my experience is it's going to be probably about 10 days all in all, which means, in other words, we will probably still, until, I don't know, middle of next week, be without the car. But we live in a town that has really good public transport, and Switzerland generally has very good public transport. So actually, you might not even, a lot of people would say you might not even need a car, and it's almost true. I'd say almost true. It's pretty much true for 90% probably of what we do. Today we went off with our little shopping trolley and did our groceries and got pretty much everything we need. Probably would need 2 shopping trolleys, if you want to separate things out well, or if you've got heavier or bigger stuff. Like I actually did two trips today, because I went and got like some toilet paper or stuff like that, which are in bundles, and whatever. I mean, without getting into all the details, of course, it's better to, if you're able to do, I find it's nice if you're able to do things all at once. And if you're asking or wondering if we can have delivery, the answer is actually yes. There are delivery services, but I very much like going into the store. Some people say, well, with delivery, you get what's on your list and that's it. And that's true, but I like to see like the little things I didn't think about, or the little extras. Yes, that can cost a bit more money, but well, it happens. And if you have a little bit of discipline, you'll get by. So yeah, that was the car stuff. But I don't know, did I mention last week that I did have to go a day last week with these kind of apparatus, or that they measure your blood pressure, and so a 24-hour period, and it's a pain in the rear, because it just kind of gets in the way, especially at night if you want to sleep. And I had been to the dermatologist. The beginning of the year seems to be made for that, just to be a pain of little things like that. So whenever I go to the dermatologist, he pulls out his liquid nitrogen, and he had sprayed here in my neck, and that had made actually a pretty big sore in a way, and that is exactly where that belt for holding the apparatus was coming down on my neck, so I had to be careful. It was a pain. So back to that. Monday, I hate going to MDs, but anyway, Monday I went over and he checked and he said everything's okay. False alarm. Your pressure is 100% okay, and the problem, he thought that he couldn't feel it correctly in my leg. Well, he said, no, it's there. There's no doubt. It's there. So, okay, that's over. But the dermatologist, I had to go, I was back because every about 2 years I get some type of light treatment. So they put some type of cream on different places in my face, or yeah, usually it's concentrated in my head. Yeah, my head. And so they put this type of cream 3 hours before they do the light treatment. So I went at 8 in the morning, and at 11 o'clock went, and you got like a 12-minute irradiation. You've got, your eyes are protected with, oh, anyway, they protect you, but it's a pain. Basically, you're being burnt, because when they're using this special, it's a special wavelength. I don't know, in the UV, I guess. I imagine it's in the UV wavelength, and it activates molecules in that, and it burns. Basically, it burns like H, because it really, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. You know, I mean, people have had worse than that, but it's pretty uncomfortable. And then for about a day, so that was like yesterday that it happened. And then for a day, you got to stay out of the sun, or wear, a hat. And if you're wondering, that is one of the reasons actually I wear hats a lot, when possible, with a broad brim. Anyway, and in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to have to go through this again. So yeah, some of the pleasures, and it's funny, I don't know why, but it's always in the beginning of the year. Okay, then it's over, I suppose. Anyway. But now, yeah, walking. I was listening to some podcasts in Spanish. Yeah, I'm getting pretty happy with myself, actually. I've got to the point where I like to watch shows in Spanish on, well, actually, the Mexican television stations, mostly the public networks, but some of the others, broadcast their shows on YouTube after it's been on television, like a day after or something. So you get it without the commercials. So I like that. So I watch different. It's usually documentaries or news shows, things like that. There's quite a bit of news shows, and it is interesting because it's a different perspective. You will hear news said in a way that you have not heard. For example, here in Switzerland is, as far as I'm concerned, rather biased at times, and the same in other, and I think every country will say, well, our news is rather biased, and actually, you are most probably right. And even the news themselves, they will say that yes, they are usually rather biased, because people will go to where what they want to hear. Anyway, having said that, I really enjoy watching it and realizing that I can actually now view, listen, and watch a television show in a foreign language that a year ago I would have been struggling really a lot. So it's an accomplishment. Sometimes we have tags where we ask, like, what is a goal? What are your goals? And I had given that myself as a goal, and it's almost achieved. Yeah, pretty much so. It's like, yeah. Oh, I'm looking over there. I've often mentioned, like there's a series of widows well, I call them the widows, elderly ladies with their little dogs that walk around several times a day. And I see one of them over there. She smiles at me. She's not. There's a couple that smile with a really big smile, and I keep wondering. I mean, are they thinking like, oh wow, there's a widower? Well, they're wrong, because every now and then they see me walking around with Mrs. DC. Then they don't smile as much. I wonder why. Oh, I'm just joking. Yeah. So yeah, is that it? I think it should be, actually. Was there anything else I wanted to say? I'm certain there was, and that I've forgotten along the way, because when I start vlogging, I kind of go off on a tangent and then forget probably if there was something I wanted to mention. But it doesn't matter. It'll come back, and I can maybe vlog about it next time. DC signing off. Take care, everybody, and have a good week.